guys, and welcome to the morning after. Happy Tuesday. This is my second video today where we're talking about Women Tell All from next season. Last night we had 3 hours of The Bachelor, but I feel like Women Tell All needed its own separate thing. Because I will say that Women Tell All was not a disappointment. You know, sometimes these can feel forced and the friction between the women feels like, you know, producers are sort of poking it with a stick, and maybe it can feel a bit like a bunch of Paradise auditions. But, you know, it was not a boring Women Tell All. I did feel like the drama there felt authentic, for better or for worse. I'll get to that in a bit. But usually I gauge a Women Tell All by how the contestants use it as a tool for, you know, redemption, or to show some self-awareness after watching themselves on TV, and to maybe change their storyline, if you know what I mean. And I can say this as someone who to some degree did that myself. And it's not that I think I had some bad edit that I needed to recover from, but I just think you could show more to yourself, of yourself, to the public. And granted, you know, you might be a shining star in Women Tell All, and then it'll all get cut up and you won't even be shown at all. So it's only so much is in your control. However, you can, and some people do, wield Women Tell All to your and use it as a tool in your favor. And I think the person who did that was Liz. I'm going to talk about this more in my Flair recap, but I really felt like she came out on top, even despite the fact that it got a little talk show hostish towards the end, but overall she really came out ahead of the pack, especially with how she was moved by Christina at the end. Like, you really saw that she was well liked, and she valued the right things in other people. So we just saw more to her than the fact that she had sex with Nick at Jane Tanner's wedding. It was just sort of nice. Let's see. The issue, you know, the issue with Taylor and Corinne was a little painful. I wrote that watching the two of them together is bad for my health, because I just felt I felt like my heart racing watching them again, and it's frustrating especially when you side with one over the other. And you know, what can be said? I understand what Corinne has to offer. She's very entertaining, and you know, the cheesy pasta, and you know, it was a nice touch. She talked about Raquel and why she called her nanny. Those were great things. I just think it's a little, you know, when she goes up there and she's defending herself and she's talking about how she, you know, all her actions were because it was about Nick, it was about the love with Nick, blah, 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 Nick this, Nick that, she's trying to stand out because of Nick. And then really her hot seat time had nothing to do with Nick. It was all her defending herself, but playing victim, not really defending herself. And whenever anyone would say anything to her, she'd be like, but what about me? What about me? It's like, well, what about what you're claiming it was all about, which was Nick? Like, it really wasn't about Nick at all. And considering she made it to Final Four, you would think there would be a little more mention of their relationship and how much he meant to her. That was totally skimmed over. Like, when Nick came out, he was like, oh, Corinne, and she was like, oh, I appreciate the time we spent together. But for someone who makes Final Four, usually you expect a little more time spent on the romantic relationship there. So I just thought that was a little ironic, that, you know, she used that as her defense, and yet there was, you know, she herself didn't talk about her relationship with him. So I'll talk about that more in my Flair recap. One more thing about Corinne. I appreciate that her self-deprecation, you know, she jokingly says, oh, I'm not the brightest crayon in the box. That's charming, it's sweet, you know, I value self-deprecation in a person. However, that isn't necessary, you know. What is necessary is showing a softness and an understanding and an empathy towards others. So even if she feels wronged by Taylor, opening her mind up to the possibilities of what she said affecting other people would go a long way. And I know that Corinne probably thinks she won Women Tell All. Taylor was the one who wanted an apology, and yet Taylor was the one who sort of ended up giving an apology, and all Corinne said to that was, thank you, as though she won. And it was really like, you just seem so small right now. This is really the time to be like, okay, and, I realize I did and said things too. I'm not proud of them, water under the bridge, the past is the past, let's leave it there. And instead she was just like, thank you. Like, she had learned nothing, and it was really frustrating to watch. I don't think Taylor should have required an apology, because I do feel like that, to use Corinne's own words, talk about pulling teeth. I understand why she might have wanted one. I just feel like that's talk about trying to get blood from a stone. What's the point? And even if you do get it, it's not going to be sincere. Anyway, I'll talk about all of that. Women Tell, it was a good one. Be sure to check out my Flair recap, which will come out later today. I always name my top 3 Women Tell All, or Tell All moments, so I will do that again. All right, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week on The Morning After. Bye.